Is anyone else convinced that the only reason we can't have good social safety programs in the United States, like a good social healthcare system and a good safety net system, is because of the bunch of white people who are racist? And here's what I mean. I am convinced that if you could tell the racists that only white people would get food stamps and universal healthcare and universal basic income, they would all vote for it. The only reason they don't want to vote for it is because they're afraid that black people and people of color might get it. And I can prove it. Look at back in the day, there used to be public pools in almost every town in the South. No matter how big or small the town was, they used to have a public pool. And then after the Civil Rights Act, they had to start letting people of color into their public pools. And white people decided they would rather fill the pools with concrete and let nobody swim than have to swim with black people. And I'm convinced the same thing happens with our social safety net. These people would rather suffer themselves than help black people too. I am so convinced this is why this country is so fucked.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing amazing. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I really do appreciate your love and support on this channel. So on our today's episode, I came across this video of this Caucasian man who is actually convinced, and which is actually the truth, that whatever the US citizens are facing with the current administration and what people have been facing for ages and what the system is actually going through is because of racism. Finally, white people are actually getting the fruits of racism that they've been practicing for years, because some of the issues that were actually affecting the black community and other minorities in the United States of America never seemed as a problem to them, because at the end of the day they are being saved by the white privilege. And it's crazy because I've seen a couple of videos of Caucasian people coming online, making videos saying how expensive or how hard life is. Some of them crying to a point of saying that they cannot afford to pay their bills anymore. Some they have to move in with friends. Some that have to sleep in their cars. And they forgot this that they're actually facing now. There is a demographic that has been facing this for ages, and black people have been telling Caucasian people this for years, but they never listened because it's never affected them. And it's crazy that till today, even in the videos that I'll be teaching, there are still people who wanna, defend the orange man in power and say that everything that's happening now is not because of him. It's been over 4 months since this guy took office, and still people wanna keep on blaming the Biden administration for the things that are actually currently happening in the United States of America. Even all the benefits that this guy and his administration is taking away from the United States citizens, it's still because of Biden administration. Crazy, right? I want us to watch these videos together, guys. Every clip and every stitch that you'll be seeing on our today's episode, credits belongs to the original creators of these videos that you're seeing on your screens. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, my good name is Gracey D. Kindly consider subscribing to this channel, give this video a like, and let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. So let's just dive right ahead and we'll come back with more commentary.
A healthcare system and a good safety net system is because of the bunch of white people who are...
Where have you been? Where have a lot of people been? That's the reason why we don't have universal health care. It's because of white racists. Period. If you pick up a book, you watch a documentary or anything like that, especially during the 1970s, 60s, and 70s, it'll tell you the reason why we do not have universal health care here in the United States is because of white people that are racist. Because what they thought that black people were going to die off, so they wanted to withhold health care. But see, the thing about it now is that with the cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, see, it doesn't matter what color you are. But see, the real conversation has always been about socioeconomic status. So even to the poor white people, they're becoming collateral damage. This has been in the making for a long time. So the elites took a page from Vance Muse's book. Look him up. I've been trying to tell y'all this for forever and a day. And the guy in the office is doing the same thing. He convinced poor white people to not join forces with black and brown people, so then therefore you wouldn't have unions. Henceforth, that's why you have right to work states. An example of a right to work state would be, I don't know, Georgia. Arizona. When we keep going, you can look that up on Google. This is all central to healthcare. In a lot of those right to work states, all your benefits is tied to your employment. So if you stop working, you have zero benefits. That's why life expectancy, especially for poor people, is lower than that of people in the Northeast. Because we have social programs for the poor. And we still manage to be able to contribute more money to the federal budget. But, I mean, who's really counting, right? It's my 2 cents. Y'all have a good day. I've been telling y'all this for years.
Hey Maga, I know we don't chat much, but I just wanted to do a quick check-in since the Medicaid cut information had been released. Now I know you guys don't like to admit that you use means-tested programs like Medicaid at far higher per capita rates than we do. But you know what? I don't want to fight about that right now. Instead, let's talk about your favorite subject, undocumented people, and the strain you believe that they put on our systems and resources. For the Boomer, Gen X, and Millennial Maga out there, you may remember Pat Buchanan and Lou Dobbs railing against undocumented people for, among 65 other things, their use of ERs as their primary form of healthcare because they had no access to insurance to get any other healthcare, preventative or otherwise, through any other avenue. So in cities with higher undocumented populations, there were increased strains on emergency rooms because thanks to EMTALA, hospitals are essentially the only place where doctors are mandated to provide you emergency care regardless of your status, insurance, or ability to pay. But back to the Medicaid cuts. With the new regulations and restrictions being proposed by the Republicans, the conservative estimates are that over 8 million people will be kicked off of Medicaid. Other estimates are closer to 13 million. When those millions of people lose their health insurance and their ability to see preventative care doctors, where do you think they're going to go for their health care when things go wrong? If you said the ER, you'd be right. The already strained ERs will be filled by people with conditions that could have been prevented. That's a problem, and it might not feel like your problem until you remember that you don't get to choose which hospital your ambulance takes you to after that 3-car pileup, or after that heart attack at Applebee's. Pretty sure your family will be worried about the ER resource strain then, but I don't know, you tell me.
Conservatives do not think that people deserve health care. And there's a lot of things going on that Trump is doing that they will admit that mainstream normie conservatives, people that just kind of watch Fox News every now and then, will admit that he's going too far with, removing habeas corpus. A lot of them can acknowledge that that's going too far. But with this new budget bill, the big beautiful bill that's removing Medicaid provisions that protect 13.5 million people, they do not think that that is a bad thing. And it's because they view Medicaid as people cheating the system. And it's so ridiculous for a number of reasons. It's a disgusting argument to try to make. Like, they just kind of assume that everyone's taking Medicaid because they want to get, cheaper Ozempic pills or something. That's a talking point that's going around for some reason. 13.5 million people are not on Medicaid because, strictly because they want to get skinny, right? These are low-income individuals. And also the fact that, in any social democracy, we're not a social democracy, but in any, take any country in Western Europe, they don't have the concept of cheating the system when it comes to healthcare. You just have healthcare. If you're a citizen, if you're employed, you have healthcare. If you have to go to the hospital for any reason, you're fine. You're covered. Your country's got you. That's what your tax dollars are going toward. They got you. But the United States doesn't have that. We are the only economically developed, OECD nation that doesn't have some type of universal coverage. We're the wealthiest nation on earth. We can't afford that. Oh, we have a lot more people. It's an economy of scale. We can handle it. Our tax dollars can handle it. But instead, we'd rather just give, $1 trillion to the military, or insane tax cuts and handouts to rich people who have healthcare, who can afford healthcare, who don't need our extra, tax dollars going toward them. And we have all this insane spending on healthcare. We spend the most on healthcare out of any developed nation. And it's because we have a private market that demands insane payments from people so that they can continue increasing their profits each quarter. They got to make more each quarter or else their stock portfolio goes in the tank or whatever. And also, as a result, we have worse healthcare. Out of any developed OECD nation, we have the lowest life expectancy at birth. We have the highest infant mortality rate. What are we doing? We have the highest obesity rates. We have the highest death rates for preventable or treatable, illnesses and conditions. Look at how we handled COVID. Our country's, we have RFK Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And they're freaking out because some people might get healthcare when, they might not deserve it according to conservatives. I don't see why anyone shouldn't deserve healthcare. That's the fundamental difference between leftist and conservative policies, right? Is they just don't view poor people as human beings, like plain and simple. Even the mainstream conservatives who, your parents, people on Facebook watching Fox News, people who aren't sucked down the hard alt-right pipeline. Just normal people, normal conservatives who just kind of assume that you're going to become conservative too. You're going to grow out of this liberal phase once you start making money or whatever. That's what they believe. These people are ridiculous.
Is anyone else convinced that the only reason we can't have good social safety programs in the United States?
If that's true, man, then why is it that at least in a more of people of color in democratic cities live in poverty and don't have the social safety nets that you're talking about? Why is it that since, 12 out of the last 16 years, Democrats have been in control, they didn't do shit about it, and you're way worse off? Can't all be because of Trump. You guys love to blame Trump, but it can't be all because of Trump. And the healthcare system that you're bitching about is Obamacare. It was a fucking Democrat system put into place. Do you guys just not want to accept responsibility? Or is it that you guys are too stupid to realize what you're talking about? Because the Democrats could have done a lot with that shit, and they never fucking did. And you can't say it's because Republicans always hold them back, because they've had majorities. They had a majority the first 2 years under Biden. So, you guys are fucking stupid. You think there's a difference in Washington between the left and the right. And there's fucking not. They just have you dumbasses out here fighting over it because it keeps you from looking at them. So just remember, all you liberals that are out there bitching about the healthcare system, it's Obamacare that we're under.
Is anyone else convinced that the only reason we can't have good social safety programs in the United States?
Bro, I'm with you to an extent. I see it this way. White people benefit from a lot of this shit that they cheer on to be banned. And I assume that they don't think it's going to be banned, and it's just cool for them to pile on. But then when the shit do get banned, that's when they do their videos crying. I.e., I keep giving this example, Obamacare. And Obamacare in Atlanta or Georgia, it's peach care. It's not called Obamacare. But whenever they want the degenerates not to like it, they call it Obamacare. So when they want everybody to get rid of some health care so they can save some money, they say, hey, we're going to get rid of Obamacare. And guess who be right in front of the front line cheering it on? The same people who's on peach care. But they're not telling them that they're about to get rid of peach care. They're telling them they're about to get rid of Obamacare. So therefore, they got no coverage. See how that worked? They was cheering on some shit that will directly affect them.
Yeah, so guys, this is what has been happening. Like, I came across this video and I've come across many other videos where I've seen Caucasian people complaining on what's happening. Even some of them like coming to admit that whatever that now the US is facing and has been facing for years is a result of racism. Because we all know that most people actually voted for the orange man in power because they didn't want to see black people progress. And it's crazy that they would rather all fail than seeing black people making it along with them. Like this guy was saying on the video, like when after the Civil Rights Act was passed and you could have black people going to swim in the same swimming pools with Caucasian people, they didn't want that. They would rather fill the pool with concrete and have nobody swim, including themselves, because they don't want to see black people swimming. And this has been the same not only in swimming pools, but some or a big percentage of Caucasian people that have been from the United States of America that have been watching their videos, listening to what they're saying, their discussion, and also on most comment section videos, you could actually see how much hate they have towards the black community. Reason being is just because they don't like them for no good reason, because honestly, they don't have any reason on why they actually don't like black people. And it's crazy that now what is happening in the United States of America, they are now coming to realize it right now. Black people have been telling them for ages that this racism is gonna cost you a lot. They've been telling them what they've been going through, because at the end of the day, what someone has been going through, what the system has been doing to other people, especially in a country, the same issues that these people are actually going through will eventually catch up with you. Like now what it's doing in the United States of America. This guy promised that he was gonna make America great again, and so far I haven't seen any greatness that he's done. The only thing that I've seen is him deporting illegal immigrants and costing the US citizens a lot of money of their tax-pay money. Him deporting illegal immigrants and having no people working at your farms, making like groceries get very costly to a point some are not even able to afford. Your eggs are very costly, when he promised that he was going to lower the price of eggs to some point that some people now cannot even afford to buy eggs. And sitting there that thinking that this is the United States of America that we actually talking about, it's just crazy. Because honestly, we've always been believing and we've always been knowing. Now that we have social media is different, but growing up we knew that for you to have a good life, for you to excel in life, for you to have everything that you want in this world, you have to be in the United States of America. And it's crazy now that I'm seeing the American citizens, some of them are like, life is very hard. We cannot even afford to pay our bills. Paying electricity bill is quite expensive for me. My insurance is quite expensive for me. And I've seen so many Caucasian people that were happy that the Trump administration is getting rid of some of the benefits that they thought were only benefiting the black community and minorities in the United States of America, like DEI, where we know that a good number of people that were actually benefiting from DEI were Caucasian women. In as much as we had 106,000 black women losing their jobs because of DEI, there is also a significant number of Caucasian women who actually lost their jobs because they were DEI hires. Now look at things like Obamacare, that most people are actually very happy that the Trump administration was going to repeal Obamacare, because same ignorance, they didn't know it was the same as Affordable Care Act. Look at all these veterans that actually voted for Trump, who later came to cut off the benefits that they were actually getting, including healthcare benefits. Now there are people that are saying, like this man who was saying, that the things that are actually happening should not be blamed on Trump, because whatever that's happening right now is because of the Biden administration. And he's asking, why are the Democrats still suffering even after the Democrat government being in power for 16 years? it's crazy that people just want to be very ignorant and not do their own research. And I just went on ahead and wanted to look at benefits Trump or his administration has cut from the US citizens since he got in office. So healthcare and disability benefits like Medicaid, the administration has proposed over $1.6 trillion in cuts to Medicaid over the next decade. This includes converting Medicaid into a block grant or per capita cap system, effectively ending the Affordable Care Act's Medicaid. So such changes could result in millions losing coverage, especially among low-income adults, children, and individuals with disabilities. This includes even like these veterans, people that actually put their lives in danger just because of the country. Social security, food and cash assistance, temporary assistance for needy families, housing and energy assistance, low-income home energy assistance program, education and student aid, support for seniors and vulnerable populations, additional cuts and reorganizations, workplace safety, public health agencies. So I went even on ahead and looked like the number of the black people and compared to white people that actually were benefiting from these benefits that were taken. So black Americans, approximately, this is Medicaid, 20% of Medicaid enrollees were constituting about 13.6% of the US population. White Americans, around 41% of Medicaid recipients compared to 60.4% of the general population. White Americans in SNAP or food stamps, 37 to 44% of recipients. Black Americans, about 22 to 27% of recipients. Hispanic Americans, roughly 10% to 22% of recipients. Cash assistant, Black Americans, approximately 28.9% of recipients, despite representing 13.4% of the population. Okay, white Americans around 27.2% of recipients compared to 60.4% of the general population. So I was looking at these benefits that actually Caucasian people and black people were getting from these. In as much as there are other demographics in the United States of America, I just wanted to look at the black and the comparison between black and Caucasian, because most people believe that these benefits were only going to black Americans and minorities in the United States of America. And it's crazy that till today they have this mentality. There are a good number of black people that actually have their own businesses, a good number of black people that actually doing things for their own, a good number of black people that are very educated, that they're working and they're employed. Until today, they still have this mentality that black people should not be having anything. They should not be getting these benefits because they think black people are lazy as to what they say. Since black people stopped working for free, they have termed them lazy, and they've even made people even outside America believe that black Americans are lazy just because they stopped working for free, just because they don't want to work for minimum wage. They want to be paid what they are worth, what they are putting their time there, and most of them are actually angry about this. You see now, this is why we keep on saying racism is quite expensive, because even if you go on ahead and ask one racist Caucasian person, why do you not like melanated people, they will not even have an answer as to why. They just brought up with that same hate. They got to learn to hate melanated people for no good reason. And it's quite sad now that there is social media, you can do your own research. People still just want to be ignorant and continue on hating melanated people for no good reason. And now the hate that they have been, showing and giving to black people, the benefits and the privilege that they've actually been privileging from their white privilege is now not working anymore to most of them, not all of them. Now they are realizing that, the hate that we've been having towards black people, we've not, we never wanted to listen to what they had to tell to us, to what the system is doing to them, is finally catching up with them. And most of them are actually realizing that, it's crazy that this is happening. I never expected this was going to happen to me. I mean, I'm Caucasian and I'm in the United States of America, so I'm privileged to have everything without having to struggle. Now it's the time for all these, I've seen so many Caucasian creators always creating videos, is that because
a big good number of these people are very ignorant and lazy, that they don't want to do their own research and learn things by their own. They just want to believe what they are being shown on the mainstream media and what they're being told by their politicians. It's time to create awareness and make them realize that, we've not been listening for ages. And now that we are suffering, I think this is the best time for us to learn. And I hope, although I know it's not everyone that's going to learn, I hope that a good number is going to learn and keep on teaching the community and other people that have the same mentality. Let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching up to this part. And until the next episode, bye.